Suzi. Hi again.
Hello, it is.
Good to see you again. And I will start by asking, how are you?
I am well. I always have a funny, well, not always, but recently that's a funny question because the world is in such turmoil, and I internally feel pretty calm and good, but I'm aware of this edge between me and it.
I really, really relate to it because when I was preparing for our talk, I went to nature, I was feeling my body, and just before I jumped to the news and it's almost like collapsing on you. And I wanted to start by talking about the very fundamental concept of acknowledging what is. Um, Before we jump into it, I just want to introduce us if somebody joins first time. So I'm Iris Shacham, Family Constellation Facilitator, an artist. I'm based in Durango. My heart is in Israel right now. And I'm in dialogue with Suzi Tucker, esteemed Family Constellation Facilitator. I know you worked very closely with Bert Hellinger, translating his books, and he was actually the founder of the method Family Constellation. You also have a publishing company, and I recently heard a piece of your beautiful book, Gather Enough Fireflies. So, hi, and let's jump in.
May I correct one thing?
Please.
I did not translate, so I'll just tell you very quickly. I didn't translate Bert's books. I actually speak not a word of German, although one of his teachers once tried to teach me to curse in German, but I haven't retained that either. And the books were translated into English by one of two people, probably more, but the people I think of are Colleen Beaumont, who's the wife of Hunter Beaumont, and I lost the second woman's name. I'll have to find it, and we'll have to put it in somewhere because she was very good. And then I would translate the translation. And I once said to Bert, I regret that I can't speak German because I feel like I am missing something maybe, and maybe making it harder for you. And he said, I am very happy that you can't speak German because that's not what I'm asking for. These people can translate the words to the words, and you translate the words to the feelings. So.
Wow, that's beautiful. First of all, it's the first time I hear it, and so I'm excited. And also, how did he pick you out from the crowd, to...
I don't know. Well, I had a publishing company. I actually stepped out of that because for the beautiful reason that I had to. I didn't have time to do it anymore, which, like, what better reason is there? But in 1998, wow, long time ago, Bert came to the United States after his first book was actually released in English, which was Love's Hidden Symmetry, the Bible of family constellations to some extent. And I had not met him yet. I had actually worked with Hunter Beaumont via phone on various things. And when this was at a conference in Washington, D.C., and I was in my hotel room, and Hunter knocked on the door, and he came in to meet me, and he said a couple of things, and he said, well, actually, Bert sent me to make sure that you were okay, like an okay person. I said, Wow, well, okay. Not quite sure what you mean, but we'll decide that over time, I suppose. And then, I spent those several days kind of with Hunter and Harold Honan and Bert Hellinger at this conference, and somewhere in there, um, I feel like I realized who and what he was. Like, I don't think I realized it before that, and he realized something about me. I don't quite know, but it was definitely in that week that we spent together.
Mm. That sounds like you had a good um, encounter.
We did, we
Yeah.
did. We had a good, uh, chemistry in a way. Yeah.
Wow, that's very lucky. Um, I'm so curious to ask more, but I also want to go to the
Please, yeah.
topic, and maybe it will come up again. But last time we talked about decision making, and one of the concept which is so tied up to family constellation is acknowledge what is. And I want to talk about it not only in family constellation, but also just as in life. What exactly is it? What is it to acknowledge what is? And maybe I'll say we have our own inner reality. We have facts that is happening. We have partners that maybe have different truth. So maybe you can talk a little bit about it.
Um, yeah, well, I will say, first of all, to your point, family constellation, it's always second for me. The first is always life. Always constellation is second, and, maybe in some places really difficult to parse, maybe it's the same thing. But something cannot work in a family constellation that doesn't work in life, and vice versa. If it doesn't work in life, it cannot work in a family constellation because, from where I sit, constellation is really reflecting the foundational, the fundamental, the beneath all beliefs and feelings aspect of life where we are together. And so I often talk about it being in the dirt, not in the clouds. Um, so that's the first thing that just it always comes first for me. Acknowledging what is, it's you're right, it's like the phrase. It may be one of the first phrases that I heard from Bert. Actually, I think before that I heard one other phrase, which I don't hear that often now, but I think they're related, which is from blind love to enlightened love.
Mm.
And the connection is that blind love is a kind of innocent experience that is based on what we learned from the family of origin. And enlightened, he's not really speaking about Buddha and Jesus, and he's really speaking about a wide view that encompasses our whole self and encompasses others, right? So acknowledging what is actually is lives right inside this idea because it is the place where we are courageous enough to face what it is we already know.
Mm. Maybe you can repeat that.
Yeah. So the phrase acknowledging what is, it's such a simple phrase in a way. But when we really sort of sit with it, it marks a place, it is a space in which we gather our courage in a way to acknowledge what it is we already know. So it is, in a way, an invitation and well, let me start with the invitation to really align with the kind of deep aspects of our sight and of our knowing, even though we understand that in that acknowledgement, we may have to do something different. We may even have to lose something or someone. And so the idea of it is that it like bursts the bubble of illusion.
Any chance you can give an example of it?
Sure. Yes. Right, because otherwise the words are esoteric and we think we understand, but then we go home and we say, what the heck was she talking about? Right? Absolutely. An example is almost any moment of any day. It comes up in almost any moment of any day. But the important moments is, of course, when it's important. For instance, let us say, um, so I sort of don't want to talk about anybody, in my sphere at the moment. But, well, this comes up a lot with couples. I think I talked maybe about couples last time too. It's just that couples are the place where a lot of things come to a head, right? Where a couple is involved in constant, chronic complaints about the other or about the relationship and about the relationship. And acknowledging what is for one or both of those people might be not you are this or you are that, but this relationship is actually over. Right? So,
So,
yeah,
so
go ahead.
it's more like a realization almost.
I'm going to stick with yes, but it's not often, it's not always, and I would argue that it's not even often a surprise. So in this example, it is imagine we peel back the bickering, the little fights every day about everything, which actually sometimes takes the place of other aspects of relationship. It's like the material that fills in the gaps, right? We fill it in with bickering, we fill it in with complaint, we fill it in. And part of the reason we do that is that we want things to be different, but we don't want them to change. We want things to be different, but we don't want them to change, right? So one member of the couple, maybe both, but usually it's one who comes to us. One member of the couple's understanding and alignment with the knowledge that they already have, that I am filling in this gap with energy, with bickering, with complaint, because really, for me, this relationship is over.
I'm really happy we're talking about this because before we started talking, I thought, what is acknowledging is for me? And I thought, is it how I feel right now? Is it what's around me in real time right now? Are my kids like passing or the cats are scratching the door? So I was going maybe in another direction, or is it both or
So what I would say is that let me say two things. One is the idea that this relationship is over is, first of all, an individual acknowledgement and alignment, right? And the thing that's important about that is I stop doing this, going out and fighting and complain, and I come back and I move into my integrity and in my courage I acknowledge what's true for me. And that is the beginning of something new being able to happen, even having this space to happen. If I keep on the outward and I don't come back to self, and if I'm not actually honest, right, there's no chance for anything new to happen with the other person. Without the other person, that part doesn't matter so much. It's really like, oh, acknowledging what is like cleaning the windshield so I can see better where I'm going. Okay. Based on what you're saying, or to your point, there is, I think, sometimes a really essential moment where gets to say, again, rather than I'm annoyed because of the kids or the friggin' cat at the door, or my husband didn't do this again, or they forgot my birthday, or whatever. Beautiful acknowledging what is there might be, again, pulling back. Wow, I feel really sad and alone, right? Just that idea of this is not for all time. It's just like holding the moment, letting the moment be meaningful, letting the moment be truthful. And once again, it is so that something new has space to happen. Because acknowledging what is this alignment piece. It's sort of concentrated, it's pulled in, it's right here, it's I sentences. And not acknowledging what is dispersed, it's outward. There's no space for something new.
So we're talking a little bit about, is it inner reality? Because it's
Yes.
how I feel towards whatever is happening, or towards, I don't know, inside me. Okay.
And then the intersection with the outside world. But the real issue with it is that when I say I'm going to speak my truth, usually what I mean is I'm speaking the truth. And that little word, my or the, makes all the difference in the world, right? So acknowledging what is my, not the, my.
So yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what about people who have hard time to actually find their own sphere because of, I don't know, how they grow up, how they interact with other people, who have tendency to be in other places than where they are?
So one of the things that I would say is it has everything to do with growing up, right? It has everything to do with who we were afraid of, what we were. Were we afraid of being hurt, or were we afraid of hurting? Right? Those kinds of distinctions. Was I afraid of outdoing somebody? Or was I afraid of being punished for having a voice? You know, all of those nuances are important to think about. Again, not to blame what's behind us, but to understand that part of my fear about acknowledgement comes from back there. Something bad would happen. I used the word courage before because, in general, we are afraid to acknowledge what is. We have trouble acknowledging what is because it doesn't, it comes with something. It comes with a movement. When I acknowledge, either in our two examples, when I acknowledge that the marriage is over, or when I acknowledge that I feel sad and alone, either of them, anything, then there is a movement that has to come with that. The thing that we're kind of confused about is it's not a movement of ending, it's a movement of beginning. And for me, part of the beauty of constellation and part of what I talk to people about ad nauseum, probably, is that there is great relief in taking responsibility for our own feelings and our own experience of the world. There's relief in that because it actually lets me move rather than makes me move, right? The idea that I will listen to somebody else's reality over my own, well, that's directly from childhood, and it's still being a child. And there's a cost to it, right? In a way, I say that, I mean, how can I say that without judgment? Well, I can say it without judgment. I don't feel judgment about it, even in myself. Sometimes I would rather follow than lead, and that is a young part of myself, right? But there is a cost to it. There is a cost to it. So part of the acknowledging what is there is, wow, that's my little one. That's my little one. That is not Bill doing something. That's my little one acquiescent. And who's in control there? I don't know. Maybe it's the little one in control, right? But the acknowledgement piece is directly related to movement. It's what scares us, and it's what's beautiful about it.
So where do facts are coming in? How does it come into this puzzle? Because it's almost like when you say a fact, it's to acknowledge what is also in a way, or yeah.
So a couple of things come to mind. One is facts in constellations. When you're doing the interview, facts are much more important than feelings. Feelings are fluid, feelings are personal. We don't even know what each other means by feelings, right? Facts have impact. However they have impact, right? So something happens to somebody when they're 14 or 4 or 44, the fact of their age will make a difference in terms of how they internalize the experience. The fact is important. The fact is really important, right? For talking contemporarily and talking about the kind of internal meeting the external, the clarity of acknowledging what is puts us in a better position, perhaps better than our forebears, puts us in a better position to navigate the facts, right? Because the fact of my diagnosis, I'm diagnosed with something, right? Or war is coming. Like these are all facts. Or I've lost a baby, right? Or I've lost a husband, right? Or somebody was mean to me. These are all facts, right? What's important about the facts is my relationship to them. Does the fact immobilize me? And if it immobilizes me, why is that? Right? Why is that?
So we're going back to the inner perception of the outside again.
That's right. Because it is the relationship. It is the relationship. When you think about, I always bring up Viktor Frankl, right? Because he's like a metaphor for everything, right? But when you think of somebody who seemed to have a great broad landscape in the interior, though the facts were unbearable. Mm-hmm. Now, people died with those facts. People lived and became bitter and unable to contribute with those facts. And Viktor Frankl did something different with those facts because his internal preparation, partly inherited and partly perhaps consolidated, right? Perhaps taught to himself and inherited, right? the internal landscape met the facts differently than somebody else.
This is so interesting because, I was thinking about acknowledging the what is and everything. And I took recently a program for, people in menopause because all women go through that. There's many things that is happening. And she asked us to count our steps in during the week. How many steps are we doing? And what I realized is that once I was supposed to acknowledge what is, like saying how much do I actually walk, I doubled my steps already. I couldn't. So
Uh, I love that, Iris, but go ahead.
so I don't know why now that we're talking, I'm looking differently at acknowledge what is, because I was really thinking about I acknowledge what is mean I live in Durango, my kids go to this and that school. I was more thinking about that as a starting point to acknowledge what is. And you're actually taking me inside. And I'm really happy we discuss it because it's very different.
And I think that it's quite it's a simple phrase, as many of his phrases were, but it's a very deep concept, right? So that I know that when I work with people, and I know for myself that idea, acknowledging what is one of the hardest things for people. Like, people don't want to do it, right? Like your steps, that's one level of it, right? But that's actually a great metaphor. People don't want to do it because, again, I think the primary reason is because it asks them to do something different, right? And then maybe the secondary reason is because they feel all the things that they felt when they were kids around it. So the shame comes up, embarrassment, humiliation, whatever it is. And maybe the steps actually has something to do to do with that aspect of, like, when I was in gym class, or when I, right? Um, but no matter what it is, the idea of it really is to get ourselves to change the relationship. And that's a really deep concept. That's a really deep, it is. I did a money class once, twice, probably 18 times. And in one or all of them, I don't know, I asked people to simply tell me how they keep their money. Right. And the reason was because it began to show something about one's relationship with money. Right. Right. So I stuff it in. I don't know how much I have. I don't carry money. I only carry a card. I don't know how much is on my card. Blah, all the things, right? All the things. And then the next aspect was to get to the acknowledging what is that is behind the way that you care for your money, right? And there's a whole lot of I don't want to know in there.
Yeah, by the way, I've been to one or two of these classes, and I love that question because you could really see the connection of, hey, I actually don't even know how much money I have there, or to the connection with money on a deeper level. Um, so why is it so hard to acknowledge that relation to whatever it is?
So not to, I don't want to, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I will say I think the simplest thing, the simplest, most complicated thing, is that we learn not to acknowledge in childhood because we learn that it's connected with some sort of impact on an important other, which is then going to have an impact on us. So, going to your illustrations, right? Your example. When I'm a little one and I am taken care of by let's say I'm taken care of by a nanny, right? And I'm really not taken care of by my parents. I'm really taken care of by this very important person in my world, but who is not the person I am born of, right? Very young, I'm aware of the tenuousness, in a way, of this relationship, perhaps. So one of the things I might learn there is don't tell the truth about your experience. Perhaps even start to not know the truth of your experience, because you will endanger this relationship with this person who cares for you. And if she leaves, nobody will be there. So in that relationship that is a little tenuous, right? She's a little off to the side. She doesn't have to be there. I look at her, I don't see me, so I know that in a way she is outside of my realm. And so when I don't like, or I want, or I do like, or I see an expression come across her face that is sad or maybe just a little bit angry, I close down to my knowledge, and then I begin to do it even to myself. I don't even bother with the step, oh, I know I don't like that, but I won't tell her. I stop knowing I don't like it. And so 30 years later, in other situations that are important, that are about belonging, I actually have trouble finding and then acknowledging what is, because I have this fear that lives inside me. It's taken up residence in my body.
Mhm. Yeah. Is it like authenticity?
Say it again. Is it?
Like to be authentic? I, you know, just like a child is, now I'm happy, now I'm sad, now I'm curious, now I'm actually tired and want to eat. Is it that kind of force?
Yeah. So I don't use the word. It's funny, we were going over words I don't use yesterday. One was authentic, but yes, authentic in the way that you're using it. Yes, it is. And it goes back to this idea of I stop having primary feelings. I live in the contrivance of secondary feelings.
So I got an image like a person that, takes this and that and all of that, and it's like the one who jumps from the box,
Yeah.
the box going. That's
Yeah.
it. The part where after actually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm really happy we touched it, because at first I thought, why to talk about it? It's like
No big
so
deal.
fundamental.
Yeah.
And people, they already know, but I see for myself that I was thinking about something completely different.
Can I say one more thing? I would
Sure.
tell you, in every constellation, so every facilitator who's listening, or student, or interested human, every constellation has this moment where the client either can or sees, makes some kind of contact with acknowledging what is. They may not actually do it. And for me, you don't owe me anything. So, you do it in your own time, or you don't ever do it. But we all come into contact with this moment, and it also often looks like, for instance, acknowledging the love we have for the parent against whom we have the greatest complaint.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about.
I think most people do. Bing, that Jack in the Box, because the gorgeous thing about that is that in that acknowledgement, I hold at least two, probably multiple, but I hold various dimensions, right? And it actually is a relief to open to my own various dimensions, one of which is, Mom, I long for you. I miss you, especially when that relationship is fraught. And the thing about that acknowledgement, it doesn't say that the relationship was sugar sweet and I am wrong. It says there is more.
Yeah. It's, by the way, most of the clients that comes, at least in this time, are people who have really hard time with the moms. But the concept of telling them, I miss you, is so strange for them, because you really need to dig deep to find this stream or this even authentic feeling. So
Yeah, and it's also like a when I can say to, in my case, really my father, when I can say I miss you, it's a sort of self-centered statement in a way, because I miss him as he lives in me.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah. It's a little funny, because my next question was how to navigate between what is reality, maybe my kids are going to this and that school, and between what I wish or what I think they should, or and I connected it to acknowledge what is, because I was really thinking it's about what is really going on in reality right now. So now I'm not sure even how to.
So you try to, and different situations, I think, call upon different things. And with our children, we're particularly, on the one hand, like I always say, we will do with regard to them what we won't do for ourselves. But also we're like hypersensitive and hyper alert and hyper all of that with our children. So things have a very high volume in a way. But what I would say is that the bringing together of what you wish for and what is actually happening, right, allows you, what you're really trying to get to there is, what is the essence of what I wish for? What is not the form, but what is the essence of it? And part of the essence of it may be, I'm not speaking for you, maybe, and I found it really when my son was growing up, that this kind of was the answer often, was like, the essence is, I want him to feel free enough to take the best from what there is, and that requires me to stand behind him and the choices that are made, not to split the screen so that he has this navigation, which is really mine, that he takes on my navigation. So that bringing together of what is happening and what I wish for, by holding to the essence and really, really standing with the essence. It's almost like leaving the what is happening and leaving the what I wish for and holding to the essence.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, because many people who might be listening, or I will speak for myself, sometimes we do something that we're not totally standing behind it. And the word free, I love it, because I want my children to be free.
Yes.
And then the tendency is to reject what we chose a little bit and go to, oh, I wish they would run in nature right now instead of learning computers.
Mhm.
And, the movement to actually stand next to the teacher in that school as a united
That's
force,
beautiful. Mhm.
very challenging.
And you just said something so great. It is the idea that you want them to be running free in the meadow and not learning computer takes both things away from them.
Please explain.
Yeah. They are not running free in nature right now. That's just so they don't get to have that. And because you are resistant to what they actually are doing, there is a way in which we are taking it away from them. We're saying bad, right? So they don't get to have either. They don't get to have either.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a very good place to be when you can actually allow. Um, yeah, my another thing that coming to mind for me is the role of imagination in all
Mhm.
this. Um, because I'm not sure exactly how to ask it, but what is the role of imagination? Do you think it's helping acknowledging what is or putting a veil on what
I
is?
think imagination is the most important, extraordinary thing, actually. I do. I think that all change begins in the imagination. Um, and acknowledging what is opens the imagination. Because if, for instance, using your poor children, if we talk about the idea of, well, let's acknowledge the essence of what I mean, right? Then we can begin to cultivate the imagination that allows for that essence to be something that you impart to them and they impart to the world, right? So acknowledging what is opens the possibility of imagination because it gives you materials. Like the artist, you're an artist, right? It gives you the paints, it gives you the charcoal, it gives you the materials. I make a distinction between imagination and hallucination,
Mm.
right? Hallucination is something we project and then pretend is real, especially for ourselves. Imagination is evolving, it's emergent, it moves with us, not without us, right? Hallucination or illusion, these things exist out there and we're running after them, right? So acknowledging what is really kind of bursts a bubble in a way of illusion and it opens the space for imagination. I imagine first, and then then I step into that imagination, right? But it stays with me. It stays with me, and it even shifts, right? When I am imagining that I will run in the meadows and the rainstorm comes, it is my imagination that allows me to do something, either to walk in the rain or seek shelter or whatever it is, right? Um, so I think they're congruent, at least in the way that I'm using the words. People use words differently. And I do make a distinction between imagination and hallucination. And I think sometimes people don't. Right? I pick on certain ideas. I know that I'm obnoxious about it, but I really don't want to. I want always to be careful not to bypass our place in things, right? So, if I believe that everything will be okay, that the universe will take care of me, that whatever it is, okay, it's okay. Of course, it's okay. But for me, I want to be careful not to bypass my own place in the world, right? I can't change the world. I'm not that powerful, but I can always, you always hear me talk about it, plant seeds. I am always that powerful. And that really is like working with imagination and not depending on hallucination, right?
So I guess my question is, how much place do you give to reality? Because it seems like it's more of how we relate to it rather than what is actually happen out there.
I give equal weight. So how can I put this? I would say that I give equal weight, but one is like about my compass and one is about the map in a way, right? So my compass is my relationship first to myself. Am I mobile? Like I always ask this question and I talk about like when I judge something, I know that I'm not mobile. I know I don't feel mobile. And so I'm judging instead of moving. So I want to stay as close. I want to stay hygienic. I am not always, believe me, but I want to stay mobile. I want to stay with a sense of mobility, right? And then I want to look. What is happening out there? Really, what is happening? And rather than just hate, which is very tempting these days, but truly it's not enough. I know it's not enough. I know that it's not enough for me to hate, right? It actually makes me feel weaker, not stronger, right? Um, so I really look to see what's happening, and then I come back to me, and then I come back to me. Even in a collective, there are individuals, right? I care about the collective. I care about the collective, but I don't act necessarily with the collective. I have to come back to me and feel, get to as much clarity as I possibly can. And that's personal. I recognize that my clarity and your clarity might be different. And what I'm really interested in, what's very exciting it is where can they join? And maybe it's at 80% with certain people, and maybe it's at 8% with other people, and both are good. Both are good. And when they can't join at all, do I have the mobility to withdraw from that field, or do I stay and hate? Do I stay and hate? Acknowledging what is says, no, I actually withdraw from that field. And then I don't even have to hate, right?
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of concepts to hear and translate to
Mm-hmm.
my acknowledge what is here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're I feel like we're in the middle, but we're actually close to finish today. And I don't know why I bump into Bert Hellinger quote that he said that everything relational is love or is a force of love. And I don't know why it comes to my mind, but I don't know. There's an essence with acknowledge what is and
I'd say that first of all, I think you quote him properly, meaning that he talked always, whether he said that exactly or not, he talked always about love as a force, which meant that love is not good or sweet or light, or it's contextual. It's contextual. And love of a certain, the blind love, going back to the blind love, it leads us sometimes down very dark alleys and into great danger, right? I will follow you, mom who died in childbirth. That is that idea, I will follow you, that is the force of love, and yet it endangers me, right? And yet it endangers me. So he really had a very, very, I think it's a very strong idea with regard to belonging, that love is a force, and we tend to interpret it in a superficial way. But it's a really deep, deep concept. Acknowledging what is a part of that, right? It's really a part of that. I will follow you, that tendency in people. The acknowledgement of it can actually break people free from it, because it is a kind of trance, right? It is a kind of trance. And just with all of this, everything we've been talking about today, I think his idea of the bow, right? And so for facilitators who see Bert or me or other people have people bow, it's not bowing in the sense of to a queen or to a king. It's actually, it's not that kind of bowing. It is kind of a strengthening of our muscles in a way. And it's accompanied by these words, which again have the force of love, acknowledging what is, blind love to enlightened love. It has all of it into the bow, which is that we bow to those who came before us. And the word is please. And it is please see me, please give me a chance, please allow me to see you, please, right? And then the second word, sort of as we come up from the bow, as we relax into our backs, right, is thank you. Thank you for my life exactly as it came to me. Thank you for every decision you ever made and didn't make. The like huge acknowledging what is. This is where I come from. Thank you. And then the next word, as we look out here first, it actually turns us to the future, this last word, which is yes. Please, thank you, yes. And as we acknowledge what is back here, we turn and say yes to the future. Right?
Yeah, it's very beautiful. So we will end with that, although I have so much other, question and all. But thank you so much, Suzi. As always, it's a pleasure to sit and talk with you, and I really appreciate you offer your knowledge to us, everybody that listen. I think it's very valuable. So just to quick summary, acknowledge what is a lot about how am I in relation to what happens. And again, I will use this Jack in the Box, like this so deep, almost child that jumps out with whatever it is, because it's before the thinking even. It's just the essence. So thank you so much. Suzi, people can find you in SuziTucker.com with everything that you do. I know you do a lot, and I wish us happy time until we meet again.
Till soon.
Yes, till
Till
soon.
soon.